The Galactic Council had made many mistakes in their 12,000-year history, but none quite as spectacular as underestimating humanity's relationship with chaos. Admiral Zexathara of the Vorthon Empire stood before the holographic display, watching in horrified fascination as human ships scattered across the Kepler sector like seeds in a cosmic wind. The Chaos engines, ancient weapons of unimaginable destruction that his people had just unleashed, were tearing reality itself apart. Space-time twisted into impossible geometries, gravity wells inverted, and entire star systems flickered between dimensions. "Status report," he commanded, his forearms trembling slightly. "The Chaos engines are performing as expected, Admiral," reported his tactical officer. 17 human colonies have been affected. Reality distortions are spreading at 0.3 light speed. The humans should be in full retreat within the hour. Zexathara nodded grimly. The Chaos engines were the Vorthon's ultimate weapon, artifacts from a dead civilization that could unravel the fundamental laws of physics in localized areas. They had used them only twice before, and both times entire species had fled in terror from the approaching wall of cosmic impossibility. But humans, it seemed, were different. "Admiral?" The communications officer's voice cracked with disbelief. "We're receiving transmissions from the human fleet." "Surrender terms?" Zexathara asked hopefully. "No, sir. They're playing music and laughing." The view screen flickered to life, showing Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance. Her ship was caught in the edge of a chaos field, where up and down had lost all meaning and the stars were cycling through colors that didn't exist. Behind her, crew members were strapped into their seats, grinning like maniacs as their vessel performed impossible maneuvers through folded space. "Vorthon Fleet," Chen's voice came through clearly despite the reality distortions. "Thanks for finally giving us an excuse to use Protocol Omega. We've been waiting decades for something this interesting." Protocol Omega, Zexathara had heard whispers of it in intelligence reports, a theoretical human military doctrine so insane that most galactic military strategists dismissed it as propaganda. Surely they wouldn't. His answer came as human ships across the sector began to glow with an eerie blue light. They were activating their emergency protocols, but not the ones for retreat or defensive positioning. These were the protocols reserved for situations deemed cosmically inconvenient by human command. "They're diving deeper into the chaos fields," the tactical officer reported, his voice barely a whisper. "Admiral, they're not fleeing. They're advancing." On the screen, Captain Chen was issuing orders with the casual confidence of someone discussing the weather. "Engineering, I need you to reverse the polarity on our reality anchors. Navigation, plot a course through that purple-green spiral. Yes, the one that's screaming. Weapons, target the paradox generator on my mark." "But Captain," came a voice from off-screen, "the chaos field will tear us apart." "Only if we let it," Chen replied with a shrug. "Remember, chaos is just order we haven't figured out yet. Besides, Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, so let's make sure we're not the thing that goes wrong." Across the sector, human vessels were adapting to the reality distortions with terrifying efficiency. When gravity reversed, they simply redefined up. When time flowed backwards, they synchronized their chronometers to negative readings and carried on. When the laws of physics suggested their engines shouldn't work, they filed a formal complaint with the universe and continued operating anyway. The UES Pandemonium, caught in a field where cause preceded effect, began firing its weapons before aiming them, and somehow achieved perfect accuracy. The UES Entropy waltzed through a dimensional maze by having its crew vote on which direction constituted forward at any given moment. The UES Paradox resolved a temporal loop by having its captain shake hands with his own past self and compare notes on enemy positions. "This is impossible," Zexathara muttered, watching his carefully orchestrated chaos being systematically organized by creatures who seemed to treat cosmic horror as a mild inconvenience. "Sir?" his science officer interrupted. "I'm detecting unusual quantum signatures from the human ships. They appear to be weaponizing the chaos fields." Indeed they were. Captain Chen's ship had somehow managed to load its torpedo tubes with concentrated impossibility. When fired, the torpedoes didn't just hit their targets, they convinced the targets that they had never existed in the first place. Vorthon vessels simply faded away, their crews forgetting they had ever been part of a military fleet. "Admiral," The communications officer called out. We're receiving another transmission from the humans. It's a surrender demand from us to them. The view screen showed Chen again, now standing in what appeared to be the bridge of her ship, though the background suggested she was simultaneously in space, underwater, and inside a mathematical equation. She held up a clipboard with official-looking documents. Vorthen Fleet, this is Captain Chen. We've taken the liberty of drafting your surrender terms. Article 1. Immediate cessation of Chaos field deployment. Article 2. Revelation of all Chaos engine locations. Article 3. Mandatory enrollment in human sensitivity training classes. Subsection, Learning to Appreciate Controlled Anarchy. How? Was all Zexathera could manage. Chen tilted her head, considering the question seriously. Well, your Chaos engines operate on the principle that reality can be broken. But you see, we've been living on a planet where reality has been broken for millennia. We have creatures that exist solely to violate the laws of physics, weather patterns that defy thermodynamics, and politicians who create paradoxes just by existing. Your Chaos fields? They remind us of home. Behind her, a crew member called out cheerfully, Captain, the Chaos field is trying to turn our coffee into mathematical concepts again. Standard response protocol, Chen replied without missing a beat. Tell the universe we prefer our coffee in liquid form, cite the Geneva Convention, and file a complaint with the Department of Existential Affairs. As if to demonstrate her point, the Chaos field around her ship suddenly stabilized, apparently intimidated by the paperwork. Admiral Zexathera looked around his bridge at his demoralized crew. The Chaos engines, their ultimate weapon, had not only failed to stop the humans, they had somehow made them more dangerous. The impossible had become merely improbable, and the improbable had become Tuesday afternoon. Sir, his tactical officer whispered, what are your orders? Zexathera watched as human ships continued to navigate the Chaos fields with the casual expertise of commuters navigating rush-hour traffic. One vessel had apparently convinced a black hole to file its taxes, while another was having a philosophical debate with a sentient probability wave. Prepare a surrender transmission, he said quietly, and see if you can find any information on these sensitivity training classes. Something tells me we're going to need them. On the view screen, Captain Chen gave a cheerful wave. Don't worry, Admiral. We'll have this whole sector organized in no time. Fair warning, though. We're implementing our standard chaos management protocol. You might want to prepare your crew for some existential adjustments. As the transmission ended, Zexathera realized that the humans had done something far more terrifying than defeating the Chaos fields. They had domesticated them. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he wondered if this was how chaos itself felt when it first encountered humanity. Confused, overwhelmed, and strangely eager to fill out the proper forms.